Hello and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy Podcast. My name is Jed, and today we are in the Socrates and Jesus book again because that's what we've been doing lately, because this book rocks so hard. Baby. Okay, now let me just adjust this here, get my levels right, and I think we're good. All right, last time we covered some interesting things. I gotta make one more adjustment. Give me 1 second. Okay, bring this down to 3 here. And I think we are golden. Now, last time we talked about John the Baptist. Someone who Jesus claimed announced Jesus, but then talked a load of garbage that Jesus didn't say himself. Specifically, baptism for the repentance, for the forgiveness of sins. So, John the Baptist announced Jesus, but did what Jesus didn't do. Preached a baptism for the repentance, for the forgiveness of sins. There's no example put forward of Jesus doing that. So, a long list of people in the timeline following Jesus doing their own thing. Funny that. Putting their own spin on things, packaging their own beliefs in, not accurately portraying the teachings of the person that they claim to be speaking for. Grifters. Now, maybe not grifters, maybe just blocked. But it's no surprise. In fact, last time we saw why this happens, because Socrates asked Jesus, where is it? Because people fear mind, self, and understanding. So, people are looking to find an opportunity to package their own beliefs in with anything else. Where is it in the text? It's important that we get it in the text because that's reading. Okay. I know where to find it. Tradition. Why is the traditional view of both of our teachings so popular? So all of these people who claim to speak for Jesus, including John the Baptist, why do people listen to that and not Jesus? Why do people listen to Aristotle and not Socrates? Why do our teachings descend into this popular view? And the answer given by Jesus was, what most want to believe, they wait to insert into whatever teaching is current. It seems to be what everyone is doing. You own a media network, Mr. Murdoch, and you try and cram your own stupid false beliefs into whatever is popular. You're a Jordan Peterson type person, and you know that science is popular or evolutionary biology is popular. You try and cram your religious bullshit into that. That's what people seem to do. Now, that's not just what people have been doing all through history, giving us the opposite idea of what Jesus said in modern Christianity and the opposite idea of philosophy in modern philosophy. It's what all people do. Because everyone has a false belief about themselves and reality they pick up in their childhood. So Plato calls it the shadows on the wall of the cave. That we unknowingly cram into reality. what we call projection. So that's the difference. There is the lie, and then there is the inadvertent lie. Both are talked about in the Republic. Now, you could say grifters are lying. People who own news networks, people who seek political power, people who seek to rise through the ranks of any religion to be able to claim to speak for God. Right. They use the tradition, they use the authority, they use whatever's popular to cram in their own particular beliefs. Not understanding. Understanding is true. Understanding is universal. Understanding is open to all those wanting to participate. Beliefs are personal. Beliefs are horse shit. Beliefs are not based on truth. Beliefs are based on images. That's the absurdity of our current age, one defined by belief-based thinking. Actually, just for fun, let's find that section in Plato's Republic where he talks about the lie and the inadvertent lie, because that's what we're talking about here. Lying is people want to believe something that they think is good. There's a reason why people lie. People do what they think is good for them. They want to believe something and they wait to insert it into whatever teaching is current. My followers, says Jesus, are attracted to the teachings of Paul and not Jesus, just as modern philosophers are not doing this that we're doing on this channel. They are attracted to Aristotle. Someone who reflects their own beliefs, just like modern MAGA people are not interested in understanding what would benefit them, understanding what a good society would be. They're interested in someone who reflects their own stupid beliefs. That's why comedy shows make a lot of hay, get a lot of get a lot of leverage, get a lot of, there's a word for this, there's an expression. They can make a lot of segments simply by approaching a MAGA person and trying to talk through understanding, talk through reason and evidence. They're blocked from it because that's what it means to believe. Beliefs are not neutral. Beliefs are the cause of human problems. And they are in opposition to understanding. That's important. So, it's funny how MAGA will get confused with evidence and reason, etc. But this is the issue. The cause of our projection, the cause of lying, is people trying to cram their stupid beliefs that they've never reflected on, they've never challenged, they think is good, they think is right, their beliefs of justice, their beliefs of themselves, their beliefs of beauty. They're trying to cram that into what's real. And in terms of religion, Paul is a fantastic personification of that for modern Christianity, just as Aristotle is a fantastic personification of that for modern philosophy. So, here we go. So here is the Republic, and if I do a quick search for lie, we get all of the words which have, we get all of the word belief. Let's do lie space. Tell a lie, tell a lie. What? Is this the full Republic? Surely not. 41 pages. No. What is this one? This is the last chapter. Commentary. Oh, it's Proclus. Okay, I've got Proclus's commentary on the Republic. Wrong book. Okay, we're back in the flow again. So we do a search. We press Control F. I'm going to try that again. Control F. We go lie. Lie. Lie on beds. Anyone lie. A lie. The true lie. It's a big one. So this is the section where he talks about courage. The virtue of courage is to hold on to the true lie. That which all gods and men hate. What do you mean? That no one willingly desires to be false in any degree in the most vital part of ourselves and concerning the most vital aspects of reality, but is especially in that self all fear to have that. What does that mean? I'm not saying anything grand, says Socrates. I only mean that to be false and to be deceived and ignorant about what is real in the soul, and to have and keep that falsehood in there is what all beings would least accept, and have the most extreme hatred for it to exist in such a place. To be deceived about the nature of reality in your soul and to keep it there. All men and gods hate that the most. That is, in the truest sense, a lie. Keep that in mind. That's the virtue of courage. And that's what we've been talking about in this book. Ignorance isn't caused by, as Thomas, the twin of Jesus, the Volcel, talks about, it's not caused by sexual desire or sexual activity. It's not caused by forgetfulness. And it's definitely not caused by you being innately sinful or evil or the devil. It's caused by carrying a false belief about self and reality in your soul that, as we saw last time, causes our image of ourselves. We act through it and blocks our development into understanding. And in the Republic, Socrates calls that the ultimate lie, the truest lie. All gods and men fear it. We call that a pathologos. For every individual. For collective groups, we call it Abrahamic. The Abrahamic idea of God. It's a false belief about reality, that God is vengeful. His highest goal is for you to rule the world. He wants you to kill people as he instructed Abraham to kill his son. This garbage. Now, the distinction we're making is one can be voluntary, one can be involuntary. One can be a grift. One can be inadvertent. Every human being's pathologos belief we don't know is wrong. We just think it's common sense. It's obvious because we developed it in childhood without putting words on it. That's the difference. No logos. Too young to put words on it. We had language, but there was no questioning allowed. Whereas someone who comes along and says, oh, I'm Paul, I speak for Jesus, or I'm John the Baptist, I speak for Jesus, I'm going to package my own beliefs in. That's a grift. So this is what could be properly called in the truest sense a lie. The ignorance in the soul of a soul deceived, since the lie in the words is an imitation or copy of the affection of the soul and later arose as an image. So we copy usually a parent. We copy their state of being, their affection, their state of being. So we imitate the way of being of our family clan, our mummy or daddy. And then someone comes along like Trump or Netanyahu or Putin who is close enough, and people will use that as a surrogate. And then they can grift. And that imitation, image thinking, becomes an image of ourself. That's the most undiluted lie. Okay, hated by gods and hated by human beings who know about it. Yes. Okay, now what we want to find is the two varieties. The inadvertent. Now, if I knew the language, here we go. We were just there. I think we're right here. This is a lot further down. So that was quite early in the text when he's talking about virtue. This is Plato's Republic, by the way. The Balboa translation. If you're not reading the Balboa translation, dun, 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 dun. Then you're not doing philosophy. Because you need the right words. And as we just read, translators since Socrates, since Plato, either knowingly or unknowingly wait for an opportunity to cram their own stupid false beliefs into their translations or into the text. The Balboa gives us the Greek. And Juan Balboa has been studying philosophy and doing dream analysis and philosophical midwifery with a master, Pierre Grimes, for many years. That's why we're so lucky. So, big round of applause to Juan Balboa. And for Pierre Grimes, who helped him develop the art of translation. All right, here we go. So, so who is suited to engage in philosophy? You can't be lame in your love of labor. Oh, my Greek. Phonia. All right, I'm curious now. How do we say that in Greek?
Philoponia.
Philoponia. Oh, that's a P. Right, that pi is a P. Philoponia.
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 Philoponia, love of labor. So you can't be loving labor in a half-assed way. When someone loves physical exercise and hunting, but the labors of the body, but is not a lover of learning, philomathesis. Philomathesis. But this derivation of that word is getting into the weeds a little bit, but
Philomathis.
Philomathis. Right, that N is an I. I don't remember my ancient Greek. Philomamath. That N tripped me up. Yes. Philomathis, love of learning. So okay, let's keep going. The truth, the soul is lame. Okay. In relation to that truth, we shall regard the soul lame when it will hate the voluntary falsehood and bears it with difficulty, and is also enraged beyond measure when others tell a lie, but willingly accepts the involuntary lie. And whenever she detects it to be ignorance, she is not angered, but just as a wild hog, she wallows in a lack of learning. That's the issue. There's the two. Oh, you're a super ancient Greek nerd, so I'm loving this. Oh, great. Well, you can type in Balboa, Balboa, and then Republic or Symposium or Phaedo, and you can find these amazing translations of Plato, the first we've had for thousands of years. We can actually, first of all, the English translations are really good. Like, there's a couple of things I don't like, but that's just a personal preference. Like, he uses the word on the one hand and on the other hand, and that's just a lot for me to say, but ignore that. The English translations are great. There are a couple of words which are a bit iffy, but pretty much are all fantastic. And the ancient Greek is underneath, so you don't even have to trust the translation. So what I do when you come across a word that is key, like, hey, let's go for the truth. That sounds like a big one. He will give you capital letters, and he'll give it to you in colors. Copy it. Copy the Greek underneath. And then I'll show you my workflow, and you can copy this because this is really great. Jump on the internet. They have the internet. It's on computers now, so that's really cool. And I'll pull it up on the screen. Here we go. Here is your first point of call. It's Snibble, SNIBLE.org / and I'll copy the you'll see. Here we go. Put it on the screen. Here is the website. Snibble.org / Greek / SYMB2uni.html. It's on the screen. Because that will take the special format for the Greek and translate it into Unicode. Symbols. Who's Ed? Oh, Ed Sheeran. I'm a musician. I've been learning Ed Sheeran. That probably came up. I'm making a mix of Ed Sheeran. When people see me playing acoustic guitar and singing out in public, and they've had a drink or two, there's a certain type of person who will always say, Ed Sheeran! And I always go, but he's got a couple of bangers. He's got a few that I don't mind. He's an interesting guy. We were just talking about how great this translation is, but he has a few particular quirks that reflect his own personality. I think Ed Sheeran is like that as well. He's a pretty good songwriter, but his quirk is, he can be cheesy. He can be so cheesy. There's a song that's really good, I'm really into, Perfect, and some of the lines are just, Ed. Just, what's the word? What's a harsher word for cheesy? Like, kind of cheesy, but also lame. We're talking about Ed Sheeran. Right, so back to the website. So that's the website. Paste the ancient Greek in here. No, that's not the right word. So copy it from the text, the Balboa text. Paste it in here. That will give you the Greek. Then I jump over to Google Translate Greek here and Greek to English.
Αληθίαν.
And that will give you how to pronounce it. If you hit this
Αληθίαν.
tell you how to pronounce it, Alethean. And it will give you the an English translation. It's usually pretty dodgy. But then paste it in Wiktionary and it will give you a better version. So singular of this one here. Truth, reality. Okay, that's just Wiktionary. But the best place to go next is, so I do all three. Once I got the translation, how does it sound in the Greek from the Google translation? Throw it in Wiktionary, just get a general sense. But here's where you want to go next. You want to go to, let me just copy this. Paste it somewhere. Where can I paste it? All right, go to Perseus. Perseus. I'll put the copy on the thing. Oops. Here we go. Perseus. So take that Greek. Oh goodness, where did it go? Here we go. There it is on the screen. Perseus.tufts.edu. Perseus.tufts. That has a lexicon. So you can paste it here. Oh. Paste the Greek. You don't have to do the Google Translate and the Wiktionary. I just do that because I like to hear what it sounds like and like to get a sense of what the masses think of the word. But this is where you want to go. You want to go to the Greek, paste it in here, paste it in this little window here, and it will give you the actual translations. So here you go, truth. And it has has like 3 different ancient Greek dictionaries. It's fantastic. The truth. So you don't even have to, this is, you learn Greek as you read. You don't have to take a course or anything because, there are less letters in the Greek alphabet than there are in English. And a lot of them look the same. Like that's an A, that's an L, and it's just an L with a walking stick. That N is an I, that's a bit tricky. That TH is a new one. That's an E, I, A, and that's an upside down N. So it's very close. And so you don't even have to trust the translator. I mean, he's got it right. He usually gets it right. So yeah. Okay, so that's my workflow. If, especially if a section hangs on a single word. It's like you're playing a video game and you need a special key to unlock this whole second stage or whatever. Then you want to make sure it's the right key. Because if it's the wrong key, then you're going to open a door and all the zombie dogs will come in and bite your face off. As an analogy. Because this is solving the puzzle. This is the archetype of the hero's journey.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Because we're learning how to solve puzzles in the text by seeing and reading in this kind of a way that unlocks the higher, not the next stage of the game, the next stage of your own consciousness or state of being. It's academic and evolutionary and spiritual all wrapped into one. The meaning of life. Where did it start and where is it go? I don't understand. Can you say that again in a different way so I can see what you're saying? So, the voluntary falsehood. So, there are certain people who hate lies, but will wallow like a pig in the mud when it comes to the involuntary lie. Why are you talking about Greek alphabet? Oh, okay, so what we do on this channel is learn to move from a kind of thinking that humans are stuck in that causes our problems, belief, into understanding. Now, understanding requires you to read, but read without projecting your own beliefs, because that's what you're trying to get out of, beliefs. And move from belief-based cognition to understanding. So first of all, you need to read a text like this one. Someone written by somebody who has been through that journey themselves. If you want to become a mechanic, read a book written by someone who is a master mechanic. And there are a couple of people who are a master of the logos. Socrates and Pierre Grimes. Parmenides, Socrates' teacher Diotima. There's only a handful. That's why we read these books. Thankfully, Pierre Grimes has written a bunch of bangers. So, you read them. But you try and get every single word. Plato wasn't paid by the word. There's no fluff here. And there are some times when there's a key word that will change the meaning or unlock a question or unlock an answer to a question. And so what I was doing is outlining the stages of copying the ancient Greek underneath the English, pasting it into the Unicode converter so you can have the text, pasting it into Google Translate so you can hear what it sounds like, and then pasting it into Lexicon so you can get your own translation of that key word. And we just did it for truth. But we're in the Republic now because here he says, what sort of people can be a philosopher king, can reach enlightenment, can know, directly experience, and understand the nature of reality, and beyond that, beyond even God, the self. To be a philosopher king because that's how you rule your soul, and in a rational society, these are the people who we would demand be our political leaders and spiritual leaders, of course. And the problems we face in the world we are seeing is because currently spiritual leaders and political leaders, clergy and kings, don't have to understand shit. In fact, the thing that makes them qualified is belief, which is insane. You would never fly a plane because you believe you can. You would never do medicine because you believe God speaks to you. We never allow that ever. We would laugh at that. And we would prevent that person from flying the plane. But for some reason, well, we know the reason. We love our personal beliefs. We allow two professions that don't have to understand a model. The doctor has to understand the model of the healthy body. A pilot has to understand the plane. A mechanic has to understand the car. Politicians don't have to understand shit. They have beliefs, and beliefs are false. They're based on your childhood. Your images, your imitation that we just read from Socrates, hey, imitation of a way of being of our parental figures. That's why Christians are born into Christian families and Muslims are born into Muslim families. It's not a coincidence that the babies happened to be born into that family. No, that's where you learn. And now what Socrates is saying, these are the two kinds of deceptions into belief, because belief blocks reason and understanding and reflection. the voluntary and the involuntary. You can't be a philosopher if you get mad at people who are grifters or liars, cramming their bullshit beliefs into truth to manipulate, but not get mad at the involuntary lie right here. Our unsuspected beliefs that every human being gets from their childhood that they project onto reality, that's the cause of our problems. That's the cause of our ignorance. So, the voluntary lie and the involuntary lie. That's, for anyone playing along at home, that's 535E in the Republic. Check it out. So, back to the book we are reading, Socrates and Jesus, A Dialogue in Heaven. So, Socrates asked Jesus, how come no one actually listens to what we said? They just listen to these grifters, or maybe unknowing grifters, cramming their beliefs into our teachings? And Jesus says, because what people want to believe, they wait to insert it into whatever teaching is current. For Christians, it's Paul. Modern Christians are Pauline Jews. Their idea of Christianity comes from Paul, not Jesus. And modern philosophers are not doing philosophy. It doesn't come from Socrates. The master of philosophy comes from Aristotle. And the result is the same. They fear three things: the experience of self, the mind, and the logos, all of which is the experience of the divine. That's all. It's just that simple. And we looked at the fact that in the book we have seen that there are stages of evolution, or stages of cognitive functioning, how you use your mind. There are 4 states of mind or ways of being. The highest is the state of self. That's where what we're after, know thyself. Many doctors too, I don't think, could define health. They love what is normal and hate the abnormal. Interesting. Right, but to be a qualified doctor, you're supposed to have an image of the ideal body. You can't say, I'm a doctor and I think that everyone should have 3 arms. No, humans are supposed to have 2 arms. But you're supposed to also demonstrate an understanding of the parts. So when someone comes in with 1 arm, first of all, you go, oh, I can compare it to my model and see that you've only got 1 arm and you're supposed to have 2. And I can use an understanding of the parts to prescribe what you need to grow your arm back. Now, that's just a metaphor for the soul, because the ideal of the soul is the second highest state of mind. That's knowledge, or the experience that people with mind and language can have, the brilliant light of pure being. The Taoists call it enlightenment. That's these guys with this symbol here. But we recognize it's the second highest state, the penultimate. The third is understanding. So the word that means the understandable, the rational, the ordered nature of reality, that's the logos. We're following the logos. You can experience the logos all at once in a oneness out of time as the eternal, or God, if you want to call it that. That's the second highest state. That's bliss, or beauty itself. That's the paradigm, or the ideal model that we need to look at, the same way a doctor looks at the ideal model of a healthy body with 2 arms, not 1. Therefore, in a rational society, we have to demand everyone who's a political and spiritual leader must have an experience of the ideal. Otherwise, you're not qualified. there are other reasons too, because this is the highest experience the humans can have. And if you haven't had it, you'll chase money. So all of our politicians currently haven't had this. Well, we're fucked. They chase money and fame because that's their highest good that they've experienced. So they say, oh, we should have insider trading. We should have billionaires to exist, and we should be the billionaires. We should just scam everyone and not care for everyone. No, that's corruption. A doctor always has to act in the interest of his subject, never for himself. That's called malpractice. Equally so, spiritual leaders and political leaders are fucked. They're corrupt because they haven't had this experience. First of all, they're not qualified because they don't have the model. And second, if they haven't had this experience of the highest good, bliss, then they'll chase lesser goods. The love of physical pleasure, the love of money that can get you that stuff, or fame. That's why our politicians are corrupt and our society is screwed. Okay, but having the experience of the model isn't enough, and we get that from the story of Jesus and Mark, because you need to be able to, in the afterglow of that experience, just like if, Socrates talks about loving relationships. If your love is based also on logos, you can climb this ladder to reach beauty itself. The beauty of the person that you fall in love with, it's their soul, it's their intelligence and character that shines and reminds you of what you have forgotten, because we've all had this experience of the pure light of being before we were born. That's how we recognize things like beauty, because beauty, you never see beauty in the physical world. You see things that remind you of beauty, but you never see beauty walking herself down the street. Hey, beauty, what's up? Not much. Did you see the football? Oh, yes. Go team. No, you only see beauty as adjectives. Equally so for justice. You only see things that are just or unjust. You see someone kicking a puppy and go, that's unjust, that's wrong. Or someone eating too much of the pizza. That's unfair. Or a referee making the bad decision. That's injustice. That's the wrong call. Well, where did you learn that? If you only see it as an adjective, a descriptor, where's the noun? That's here. The second state of mind, being. The brilliant light of being. But just as the beauty of the soul of your beloved can remind you of this, and if your relationship is bound in logos, understanding, towards an ideal, so there's three people in your relationship, you, her, and the ideal, then you can reach that. But just like after intimacy, there is the afterglow, it's the same thing. Only your intimacy, the experiences that you have in this kind of relationship can culminate in this one. But equally so, in the afterglow, same thing. Logos. Put logos on it. Put words on it. Understand it. That functioning of understanding the experience of reality itself is the highest human functioning that we can have while participating in time. This is the highest experience out of time. This is the highest functioning in time. That's why true love is love and logos. That's our third state of being. So we've got the self, because by the way, when you do reflect on this with understanding, you might realize, heck, that's beauty itself, or that's justice itself. So every politician must have that experience and this understanding, so the two of them together, what Socrates calls wisdom, can be used to create laws in our society that reflect the laws of reality. But, which is good, which is what we all need to do and demand it of politicians, even if we don't have that yet. We want the best of us to set the laws so we can solve problems and have a fantastic world to live in. What we're seeing currently in our timeline is the implications if we don't have this. But other than that, when you reflect on this experience, you can realize, hang on a second, it was real. It's the most real thing I've ever experienced. It's the most intense thing. It's the most beautiful thing. But these are all qualities. Yes, I experienced it all at once, but still we can, through understanding, recognize aspects. Therefore, if this is a oneness of aspects, there first has to be a cause. And the cause of anything has to be, transcendent. Greater and transcendent. That's the journey from philosophy into knowing the self. Or the first state, the self. Now, we don't have that. We have people in the fourth state, which is belief. No logos. No rationality. No model. No reason and understanding. And definitely no self. That's our current leaders. Spiritual and religious and political. That's why we're in the problems we're at. Because belief is the next level down. The cause of problems. So while the ideal functioning, using the model, using the understanding of its aspects in time to benefit everyone, providence, benefit, just as a doctor needs both to benefit his patient, the distortion of that is belief. Believers don't have understanding. They're blocked from understanding. Therefore, believers can't do anything good. They can only murder, genocide, go on crusades, tell children that they're evil or sinful, tell women that they're less than men, justify slavery. They can only break stuff. They can't make stuff. That's the issue. If your toaster is broken, you can't fix it with belief. You can't say, I've had a few drinks, I'm really confident. I have a good positive self-image. I'm a dentist now. And start hammering away on faces. No, that's not anything. Beliefs are bad. Beliefs block understanding. The two difficulties that we face currently is, number one, how do we tell people this? Because people don't want to learn. For two reasons. First of all, they think they already know what the self is. They already know what reality is. So why learn? They'd rather be entertained. The second thing is, what we just read in the text, we fear. We are taught to fear. We're not born fearing it. We're taught to fear understanding. That's why the fascists always go after the thinkers first. That's why bullies pick on the smart kids. We're taught to fear mind. Don't experience God yourself. No. It's dangerous. The devil lives there. And we're taught to fear yourself. You are a sinner. You are an innate sin. And the third reason is we love our dumb beliefs. Can you imagine what would happen if you said, okay, look, rationally speaking, the cause of all human problems and suffering and our extinction is simply belief-based thinking, which blocks understanding. So, no more religions. What would happen? There are thousands of different crazy-ass religions out there. But the thing about religions is people are identified with them. They think it's important. They think, oh, I didn't save me. Jesus saved me. Muhammad saved me. Allah saved me. Joseph Smith saved me. Xenu saved me. Whatever crap you grew up with. We love our dumb-ass beliefs, even though they are the cause of suffering and problems. It's easy to point at any other religion and say they're nuts. To point at a family across the street and say, well, their parents don't know everything. But my parents do. My religion. That's immaturity, irrationality. That's a lack of character. Now, the grifters have played into this. Trump is not a Christian, but he knows he can fuck with Christians and get them to act and vote against their own interests. That's the voluntary lie. Believers can be manipulated. If we're going to save our species, we have to put our big boy pants on and say no more fucking beliefs. I don't give a shit if you love your parents. Their beliefs are wrong. Everyone on the street has the same issue. Everyone loves their dumb parents. I say dumb because they don't have this. It's a human thing. It's not a blame game. Parents pretend to know shit they don't know. The involuntary lie. This issue. But we have a fun channel here. I only swear sometimes. But most of the time it's light and fun, and we can show people, hey, you don't have to have your dumb beliefs. Understanding is where the party's at. It's the best game in town. They call it the Noblest Game. So, fear of the self, fear of the mind, fear of the logos, which is a fear of the next 3 states of human development or evolution. Our evolution isn't growing physical wings, it's changing in how we perceive and think, how we use our mind. From belief-based cognition. By the way, the 5th one underneath belief is the modern Democrats. A mass of differences. A mass of slop. They're not believers. They don't have some cult that they're a member of, but they still can't use understanding. They do not demand understanding and knowledge. Everything is relative to these people. Who's to say what's right and wrong? Oh, maybe a little bit of insider trading. That's the stupidity of the modern Democrats that allowed for the fascists to take over, because at least they stand for something. That was the appeal of, that's why Trump got reelected. A disc, and by the way, yeah, we've been talking about how the different ways of understanding that using the logos. So, fear of the self, fear of the mind, fear of understanding keeps us trapped in our beliefs that we insert into anything that's popular, either knowingly as a scammer or a liar or a fascist or a tyrant. Insert tyrant name here, Trump, Putin, Netanyahu. Uses his followers who, if they are taught in an Abrahamic tradition, they follow the teachings of Abraham, which is a fundamental analogy. Kill who I say you can kill. As Abraham instructed Abraham's God told him to kill his son, so too modern believers are okay with murder and genocide. That's the issue. Belief. That's all. It's just that simple. That's it. It's not a mystery. It's not a, philosophers have been trying to solve the mystery of human suffering for a long time. No. It's just this. It's just that simple. Spiritualists have been meditating under trees for a long time. Buddha tried to solve the problem of human suffering. No, it's just this. Belief versus understanding, that's it. 3 stages of development which has logos and self-reflection, ousia. And then the stages that don't, belief. In a mass of ignorance, massive differences, retreating into never even making a general statement. Only personal statements. Well, I believe it's bad for fascism to exist, but that's just my opinion. Whenever anyone says, well, I believe, a journalist should always say, well, I'll stop you there. Bro, we don't give a shit about beliefs. Beliefs are wrong. Beliefs are harmful. What's the truth? Show an understanding. Otherwise, get the hell out of here. You lose your job. I believe in the Constitution. No. I believe that some people have a right to. No. I believe that guns are important. No. Belief. Look, what people want to believe, they insert into whatever teaching is current. Therefore, Christians have the exact opposite of what Jesus said, because they rather listen to Paul. Modern academics have the exact opposite of education. Our modern educational system is based on Aristotle. Classifications, botany, chemistry, physics. Based on a materialist worldview, that's Aristotle. A physical world only, no being and no self. No logos, no mind, no self. Just physical beliefs, beliefs and opinions from the physical world. That's it. Why do we do that? Because those higher 3 stages we have a fear of, self, mind, and logos. Which is a fear of experiencing yourself beyond your physical existence. A fear of the experience of the divine. That's it. Not a mysterious. You don't have to sit under, meditate on a cushion in an ashram for 40 years to solve the mystery. It's there. It's in black and white and green and a dirty yellow and some orange. Oh, but we have to have another debate on YouTube between a Hegelian dialectic philosopher and a, Nietzschean philosopher. Someone in the tradition of Kant. This crap.
Have you read Brand at all? Have you read Nagel? What about Scanlon? Have you read Scanlon or Scruton or Edmund Burke? Have you read C.S. Lewis? Have you read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Have you read Immanuel Kant? So you know Flicht.
What has this got to do with Bob's Burgers?
Do you practice self-love in a Kantian sense? Do you masturbate to Kant? Have you seen Infinity Wars? Have you even seen Age of Ultron?
That's just... Thinking education is learning a bunch of dumb opinions from dumb people in the tradition of Aristotle and Paul, so you can use it to own someone in a debate. Who? Alright, okay, so if that's the cause of problems, and we are so smart and awesome and wonderful, we're the best chatters on Twitch and YouTube, well, what do we do instead? Practice dying and death. There's no greater mystery for mankind than what happens when you die. So, separate your soul from your body and check it out. Don't have to believe anyone. And you know what happens? You find out all of the fears that theistic religions pour down your throat about death and the nature of you, your mind, reason, and yourself are all bullshit. You don't have to believe anyone because you can see it for yourself. Whether it be through meditation, this ideally through the development of your understanding, through dream analysis and midwifery to get rid of the beliefs that block you, that's the best. But through dreams, through mushrooms, through displays of energy. Some people have it in childbirth, near-death experiences, lots of ways to pull it off, but that's the issue as well. How do we actually practice this as an art, not just wait for it to happen? Okay? And what happens if you do have these experiences of 3, 2, 1 of the self? With the self, there goes faith, the cause of human suffering collectively in our world, and murder and inequality, and doubt. That same conflict caused by belief that denigrates the self, mind, and understanding, directed internally, self-doubt. I am a small being. I am not good enough. I am a sinner. I'm less because I'm a woman. I'm less because I'm brown. I'm less for whatever reason. My ears are too big or whatever my dad told me when I was growing up. Okay. With the self, there goes faith and doubt. Hooray for us. The best community on Twitch and YouTube. Since the self-existence is obvious, you don't have to have faith in yourself. You are a self. It's obvious. But it's mysterious. There's still a game to be played. And doubt assumes a different kind of a self that can doubt itself. So that's an assumption. It's ignorance. So, you can solve problems. Okay? And then once you realize that, and you realize that all of the false beliefs about mind, self, and understanding, and fears about those that were poured down our throats by the grifters or the theistic religions, they're all nonsense. You realize we are all here to learn and to benefit one another.
You've been a bad little girl and you're getting the more holes, the better.
Imagine people changing their positions and improving better.
Helping people to change their positions and improve for the better. Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, sometimes these profound spiritual experiences happen by themselves, a gift, suddenly, in those different exercises or activities people can have. We have the best soundboards.
I've been a bad little girl. What feminists want is to specifically ruin your life.
We're gonna engage in dishonesty?
He better not.
My soundboards are random. I got my half of my soundboard is random, so I don't know. By the way, if you have sound drops, share them in the Discord and I can add them to my randomizer. See, if I push this button, it's going to press a random RM Brown clip.
That's where you live, in the weirdo pool. You're going around doing that in the weirdo pool. That's you.
I've been meaning to build a bigger collection because these ones are getting a bit played out.
Talking about a bunch of slop.
That's something I like though. So yes, so some happen all at once, but some require learning. That's the game that we're in here. This is the paradigm of learning. That's the issue. Since Socrates, Plato, thankfully, is better than Paul with Jesus, but Plato describes the very profound experiences without discussing how you can actually make those jumps into those states, how you can separate from the body, how you can go from belief-based cognition into pure understanding-based cognition, how you can go from understanding into knowledge, how you can go from knowledge into that which transcends even the greatest experience, the self. But this text gives us a clue. See, this is the game. You have to find the puzzles. That's a puzzle. We've just talked about the cause of human problems, the voluntary and involuntary lie, a deception of belief-based thinking, and the doubt and faith behind that, and what's its cause. That should awaken a puzzle. Well, okay, Okay, well, I don't want to do that anymore. How do I change my state of being? I mean, it's neat to be able to point to the world and say, okay, that's what's going on out there. But how do I change? That's a question. You got to look for the puzzles. That's the reading. And if you do that and you carry your questions as you read in this new way of reading, it's not interpretation. It's not you. By the way, at school they teach you interpretation. What does Lord of the Flies? What does it mean to you? And you can just write any old horseshit. Now, a clever student would find the kind of horse shit that their teacher believes. And your teacher is a hardcore Christian. Oh, to me, Lord of the Flies is about how Jesus loves you. And then the teacher, oh, that sounds right. I'll give you an A. That's interpretation. What does it mean to me? Well, I believe. No, that's not reading. By the way, the cause of interpretation, projecting what isn't there or leaving out what is there, is what we just read. We seek to insert whatever we want to believe into whatever we're reading, inadvertently or vertently. Pathologos, unsuspected false beliefs, or, when we knowingly do it. By the way, that's why we went through those stages of pulling out the ancient Greek and going through those websites. Because that's reading. Not leaving anything out. Actually nailing it down. Which is the practice, by the way. You're engaged in reading. That's the spiritual practice. Lord of the Flies is about Socrates, yes. Well, if I was your teacher, then I'd give you an A+. And then come in tomorrow and say, oh, I watched The Simpsons. To me, South Park's more popular at the moment. To me, the latest South Park episode was also about Socrates. And I'd be like, yes, good student. A+. Right, but we're not doing that. We're reading. Yes, we're seeing, exactly. Seeing, not believing. That's the game. That's the game. Which is a microcosm, or in a nutshell, the spiritual game. Because these stages of development that we go through once we purify ourselves from belief, understanding, that state is described as Juriki. A natural state, an effortless state. Or the ideal of the samurai describes it really nicely. To act with the full force of your being, most appropriate for the circumstance, without any thinking or planning. Which would be the dialectic. Because that's what is rational use of your mind that benefits. Don't you want to benefit yourself and others all times? By the way, this experience of knowledge is a remembering. It's your own mind. And by the way, yourself has always been here the whole time. What's been going through this process, if not the self? So you can say what you just wrote in chat. The practice that we're learning to do in reading, to see and not believe, is a reflection of this. Our purpose, our destiny, and the meaning of life. Spiritual journey. Seeing what's there. What's been there the whole time. Which is why people who go through this, they say, oh, by the way, that's why comedy is similar. Jokes are similar. You go through a story of a joke and then you see what was obvious to be there the whole time, and it changes your whole perspective, but it was always there. That's something you can think about in your own time. But yeah, seeing, not believing, well said. So, how do we do it? Okay, so there's the question. How do we go through that stage, those stages? If we don't want to just cross our fingers and hope that just happens. Plato doesn't say. But Socrates in this book, which is a banger, gives us a clue. Socrates. Let's hear what he has to say. Jesus, some profound experience. Okay, go back to Jesus. Socrates. A new philosophy beyond church teachings may arise. They have learned through these experiences for themselves that we are all here to learn and benefit one another. Jesus. Learning from one another, you say, is important. And if I am to agree with you, we would need our interpreters to leave to their followers some practice of that learning to achieve that lofty goal. Yes, correct you are, Jesus. Some profound spiritual experiences develop by themselves, but others require learning. Some teachers offer freely what they have learned. Others, like Plato, in his dialogues, describe very profound experiences without discussing how these states are to be realized. There's the puzzle. Let's keep reading. Plato stresses the role of dreams. There's the clue to the answer. Plato stresses the role of dreams in the life of the philosopher, but he says nothing about how to understand dreams. He may actually be ignorant of this, since he fails to understand the dream Zeus sent to Agamemnon in the Iliad. Yes, Socrates, says Jesus, I experienced the same. I stress the need to experience, not believe, not doubt, not faith, and understand the exalted states of mind, the kingdom of God, and the experiences of divine luminosity. Okay. What did John the Baptist do? Oh, he did things that I didn't do. He announced me, but he did this stuff about baptism and repenting and forgiveness. I didn't do any of that. That's just all John's beliefs that he crammed in. Socrates goes on. My teacher was said to be Diotima from Mantinea. Plato in his Symposium has me recalling the steps leading to a vision of the perfection of beauty, to truth itself. Again, you never see true things, right? I mean, you never see truth as a physical experience. These are all high qualities like justice and beauty that you only see through your physical perceptions in the physical world of becoming, of change, as adjectives. And you've never learnt about beauty, but a hottie walks down the street and you look, oh my goodness, it claps you in the face. If you've never seen beauty itself, you never learnt about beauty, I mean, we can when we read the Symposium, then how did you recognize it instantly? That's because you have had an experience of pure consciousness before you were born. So learning is a reminder or a remembering. Another example of one of those high things that we recognize as a descriptor is true. We like beautiful things. We like just things. We like true things. So where's the noun? Right here, baby. So the steps in the Symposium. To truth itself. Truly it is a work of art. Okay, he adds that the experience of truth, capital T, or beauty, capital B, is not final, but it is penultimate. That's a fancy word for second. Since after that magnificent experience, Diotima notes there is still something to be done. It is incomplete. She points to the need to go further and cultivate a true excellence, because that kind of excellence alone will bring one to the eternal and to become a friend of God. Imagine being besties with God. However, as we suspect, she says nothing about the nature and kind of that excellence, nor what it would take to bring it to a level of completion. You and I would say that excellence could only be reached by therefore becoming Socratic. So now we have a difference between Platonic philosophy and Socratic. So we can read along with Plato and the Balboa translations of his texts and gain a lot of clues, a lot of descriptions, and even the steps to reach knowledge, beauty itself, or truth itself. But it's up to us to put the pieces together ourselves to go beyond that to true excellence and to become besties with God. And eternal. So even knowledge is a temporary state. You come out of it. All experiences are. Therefore, to be eternal isn't just experiencing eternity, but it has to be a state of self that's beyond even experience. What we call being Socratic. Hooray, so we have a new term. You can say to your friends, oh yeah, I'm into philosophy. He goes, oh really, what kind of philosophy? You can put kind of philosophy. That's a silly, kind means there's a manyness. That's about opinions and beliefs. There's only one philosophy. It's like there's only one way to fix your car engine. But that might confuse them. Oh, really? Oh, okay. What would you call that? Socratic. Socratic? I thought Socrates didn't write anything down. You mean Platonic? I did a course in Platonic philosophy in my first year of university. Ah, not Platonic, Socratic. And they'll say, what the heck's the difference? And then you can just tell them that. That's the difference. And then if you have pencils and you have one of those tablecloths at those kinds of restaurants where you can draw on them, you can draw pictures like this. Imagine this is the physical world of becoming, the physical world where we get beliefs and we get our pathologos that cause our problems. Well, once we're sufficiently free from our beliefs and pathologos, our voluntary and involuntary lies that we project and block us from seeing, we can get into this weird thing called reading that allows us to prepare our mind by developing understanding, the dialectic. The fancy word is a dianoia in Greek. And that prepares us for experience of the eternal realm of being, which you could call God because that's what reflects on itself to create a copy. Just like, you know how you're a painter. Let's say your friend's a painter. You have a model that you make a copy of. Well, you're actually engaged in the divine art because the archetype, the standard, the model that you're engaged in, so you can, talk in a language they understand, is this. As being, or heaven, creates, that's Christian language, you can use that if you want, I guess, creates a copy of the physical world, so too you have your model in your mind, or if you're doing the painting where you actually get someone to pose. This. Well, that's what Plato gives us the steps to reach in the Symposium and in the Republic. If you experience it through understanding, you can therefore understand it. Put the two together, you got wisdom. The Greek word for wisdom is Sophia. If you love that game, as we do here, then you're a philosopher. Philosophia, love of wisdom. That's why there's only one philosophy. Platonic. Then your friend will go, oh, that's cool. I dig it. But what's the difference? But weren't you describing the difference between Platonic and Socratic? Oh, yeah. Well, by the way, that's not the end. Even that experience of yourself as eternity has qualities. The studying of that qualities is what we apply our understanding to. We're not understanding how to ride a bike. We're understanding the aspects or qualities of, in the Greek, eidos, mistranslated as forms or ideas. You can say ideas if you want with a capital I, but it's understanding the qualities. Hey, it's reality. It's truth, capital T. It's beauty, capital B. But something had to cause those. Now you're Socratic. When you wonder about what's the cause of that, what's the true excellence that makes you truly eternal and besties with God. So here's God down here and he's your best friend. Friend of the gods. Gods would be plural, so the aspects of here. Plato doesn't talk about it. Same thing in the Republic. That's the difference. So you can write a line here. Below this line, Aristotle and modern education, modern philosophy, love of beliefs and opinions, what he calls philodoxia, love of opinions, and people who do debates, like people like that guy who got shot today, Charlie Kirk, loved debate harmful false beliefs and opinions that would scam people to act against their own interests. Therefore was beloved by fascists like Donald Trump. Philonikos, love of fighting, love of debates, love of conflict, love of guns and genocide. He loved all that stuff. So that's Aristotle below this line. By the way, this is ontology. Ontos means being or what exists. Epistemology is this part here. So what is are these circles. These are the dimensions. Ontology is the fancy word. Study of ontos, study of what is. Ontos is. Epistemology is how you grasp it. What's the sense? Just like you see color, you hear sound, or hearing is the way you perceive it, or the epistemology, and sound is the thing itself. So belief is the epistemology of the ontological realm of becoming. Two fancy words to impress everyone at the coffee shop when you talk about this really loudly. Oh yes, I was doing a little bit of ontology today in my Twitch stream. And then everyone in the cafe will go. And I realized that there is a connection directly between ontology and epistemology. And then everyone will go. Because those are fancy ass words. So this can also make sense of our problems. If problems are caused by belief, that's our epistemology. That's tied to the physical world. Aristotle. So we have Aristotle's issue here, physical sciences only, our modern model for education. And Paul's epistemology here, belief, faith, fear, understanding, fear the mind, and fear the self. So we have, just as we have epistemology and ontology working hand in hand, because this is the way you perceive this is the thing, and this is the perception. So too, we have Aristotle over here and Paul over here. Now, thankfully, we have Plato, which is up here. And you could say, well, okay, the Gnostic Gospels, James and James and Thomas, the tank engine, they talk about the significance of understanding, and Jesus talks about the significance of understanding in the beginning of Mark. So we have the Gnostic Gospels over here, which talk about understanding. And we have Plato over here, talks about being. But now we have this, and that's Socratic. So you can draw this picture. Oh, and by the way, if the epistemology on Plato's level is understanding, and the experience of this is knowledge, that's the epistemology of that. What's the epistemology of that? How do you know the self that is the cause of knowledge and therefore transcends knowledge? That's the mystery. Now, we could understand it, maybe. So maybe understanding, which brings us up to here, is actually better than knowledge. Ooh. That's interesting. And that might be why we call this philos, not philosophy, love of wisdom, but philos dianoia. Because while this is beyond knowledge, maybe we can bring understanding with us in our back pockets. By the way, we can understand beliefs. That's philosophical midwifery. That's needed to help people go through the process of purifying themselves from their false beliefs, as we are doing to our Abrahamic beliefs in reading this text. So you can apply understanding here. You can apply it to reach there. Once you get there in the afterglow, you can reflect on it with your friends or partner if you found someone with a good heart and good head. But also you can use understanding to reflect on its cause to go up here. And therefore maybe we can ask the question when we get here, can we even understand it there? So maybe understanding applies to all. Which is fascinating. Pierre once said, I heard him say, yeah, brilliant light experiences are fantastic. But I'd trade one of those for better understanding into my problems. He also said, experiences are dead. Understanding is what lasts. So we call this game philos dianoia, the love of understanding. And that's the difference between Socratic and Platonic and modern or Aristotelian. Or the Gnostic Gospels and Paul/John. And Matthew and Luke copied Mark, so. Mark warned us about this. The Socratic. Hooray. So that excellence can only be reached by becoming Socratic. But it took later philosophers to make that point. Why did it take such a long time since Plato for us to realize this? Wouldn't it be neat if every Twitch streamer was talking about this? Because Plato should have added it, right? Jesus finds that question curious. Would you say that those later philosophers discovered more about your way of being than those who were present with you? If so, why do we have to wait for later thinkers to see what was already there to be seen? As our friend said in chat, see and not believe. Shall we say that later philosophers' visions were not obscured by a need to shove their dumb beliefs to, sorry, let's read the text. Jesus. Shall we say that the later philosophers' visions were not obscured by a need to add what they wanted to believe to what was being revealed? Which means what? What are the two things needed to remove your beliefs that are the cause of your projection and problems? Philosophical midwifery in conjunction with dream analysis. Therefore, it took a later philosopher or philosophers who picked up dream analysis and midwifery that Plato dropped for them to see what Plato was missing. Says Jesus in the book. This book is so good. It's a good book. That's what Mario would say. It's a good book. It's a banger. Okay, in the imitation of Socrates, can we reach that kind of excellence? Let's find out. Those who followed him would have the task in finding a model for their spiritual life. Okay, so those who do reach Socrates, how can we judge whether or not someone has gone beyond Plato to become Socratic or reached that true excellence described by Plato beyond even beauty or truth to become truly immortal and truly a bestie of gods? How can we judge? Is it the politician who sounds most like your parents? Damn, someone from some Ivy League school who pretends to be a farmer? Well, I don't know about you, but I reckon people ought to have guns, and billionaires are good people, I reckon. Is that the standard? People who believe stuff? I believe in the First Amendment. Or, if we weren't being stupid but mush-brained, baby-brained doofuses...
And I find that very entertaining.
You are a fantastic moron.
If we were to stop being fantastic morons, what would be the standard to say to judge if we have reached that excellence of Socrates? We're asking the question, how can we judge whether or not someone has gone beyond Plato to become Socratic or reached true excellence, to be eternal, to become eternal and become a friend of God? to remind, we're talking about ontology, or what are the levels of reality, our physical world of becoming, the eternal world of heaven, or pure being, pure mind, the being and becoming, and beyond that, the cause of becoming, the self, the one self or the good self. So that's what it is, or if you want to be a fancy pants, get some fancy in your pants. Ontology, which is a fancy word for what exists. Ontology. But also on this side we have epistemology, which is epistos-mology, which is how we understand it, how we grasp it. From the physical world, you get beliefs, which cause our problems, and our unsuspected false beliefs that we cram into what we see, and we cram into our reading, and we cram down other people's throats, or we use violence and genocide to cram it into other people's brains. Beliefs and pathologos. But the best thing we can do here is develop understanding of the realm of being. The epistemology of being is knowledge. So below this line is modernism, Aristotle, our modern education is about the physical world. Divide up the world into physical sciences, chemistry and at chemistry before lunch, and then physics in the afternoon, and some math as well. These are all physical. And the belief is from Paul. So religious people engage in belief. That's where we have problems. Plato talks about experiencing beauty itself, or truth, which is the realm of being. The experience is knowledge. You can also have understanding. That's dianoia. The two together is wisdom. So philosophy is the love of that, wisdom. But Socrates says, hey, well, Plato says, while Socrates has that model of reaching higher and higher levels of beauty with your beloved senpai, with your partner, to reach beauty itself, it's from that you develop true excellence to become eternal and a friend of God. You can say God is here. God is eternal. God is being. So you're a friend of him. Or her. So that's the difference between being Socratic, up here, or Platonic, or Aristotelian. And the question is, how do we judge if we've reached that excellence, that true excellence that we call Socratic? And Socrates says, yes, he says, yes, we can apply Plato's own test. Those who have ascended and known the nature of the true realities and of the good. So the realities are here. The ascended here is here. The knowingness is here. And the good is here. So you have to go all the way. And having returned to the cave, which would be, down here. Back to the physical world, full of peeps and bods, full of homies who are engaged in beliefs. They're having returned to catch up with these bros. Having returned to the cave, they can now see 1,000 times better. And know both what the images are and what they are images of. Your false beliefs are your images. What they are supposedly, you've seen the real things, so you know what people's false idea of knowing is. What it's supposed to be, what true knowing is. People have false ideas of beauty, false ideas of what it means to be just. But you know what they are images of. You know the real things. These images are what man takes as reality, and they permeate his thoughts and dreams. So, true excellence he's describing. After you've gone through this, and you've subscribed to the channel and joined our Discord, you return back down here, and you know that the beliefs people have cause their image thinking. Sexists look at a woman and think, oh, that's a bad person. That's just an image. Picture-brained. So some people say they're motivated by shapes and colors. That's image thinking. Image thinking. So not only can you recognize their images, so you can therefore help them find the beliefs that underpin their images, but you've also, on your way up here, you've stopped at this juncture, so you know what their images of. I think it's true that women are less than men, says a sexist. Well, here is truth. I think it's just that some billionaires exist and some people don't get to participate in life. Only billionaires get to have fun. I think that's fair. That's fair. Fair is another word for justice. Maybe they grew up with a rich family, causing this image of justice, and now you also know what they are images of, because this is where justice really is. So the physical world gives you beliefs and images or shadows of what you've experienced here. You can see 1,000 times better and know both what the images are and what they are images of. These images are what man takes as reality, and they permeate his thoughts and his dreams.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Wow. Surely realizing this as the way in which mind communicates to each. Okay, so what? Alright, so you've gone through this and you're really great and amazing, and hooray for you, we will have a cup of coffee in your honor. And you've joined the Discord and you've followed the channel, and so we will, as soon as I become a Twitch affiliate, we'll give you extra emojis. Good for you. But so what? So you can see what these people believe is true, just, and beautiful and good. And you also have an experience and understanding of the actual true, just, beautiful, and good. So what? So hooray for you. Mr. and Mrs. Fancy Pants over here. Big brain Bob over here in the corner. It's not brain, it's mind. So what? How are you going to use that to help us? What are you going to do with all of your fancy new emojis? Here is the thing he just said. Our images Because it's not just for you to see, it's for us to see, because it's in our seeing of this that we can free ourselves, it's in our perception of our problems that can free us. So what are you going to do with this? So you recognize this is the truth. This is where our images and beliefs come from. But these permeate our thoughts, our everyday thoughts, and our dreams. So if you can ask us questions about our everyday thoughts that block us from our own development up there, and if you also have the skill to ask us questions about our dreams, we get to ourselves unpack and see our own beliefs and images. And when asked in the right way, with the help of dreams, our dreams will give you guidance on the cause of those thoughts. So, these beliefs and images that are false and limiting and cause our problems individually and globally permeate everyday thoughts. But our dreams will give you messages about those thoughts and the cause of those thoughts so you can free yourself from them and be free to actually ascend out of the cave of ignorance yourself. That's the difference. Not just knowing the truth, recognizing what people carry that's false, and also having this as a state of being of the one self that's eternal and besties with God. It's also understanding how this plays out in our thoughts and dreams, and using the skill of understanding the dialectic to ask us questions about our thoughts and dreams so we can be helped. That's what you do with all of your fantastic emojis, says Socrates. Skillful, artful, with a good heart and good head. Questions that allow us to reflect on our everyday thoughts in combination with our dreams to see the cause of our own unsuspected beliefs and images that cause our problems and blocks. So we are free to develop in the same way you have. So Jesus asked, how do we test for that reaching of that true excellence? Plato's own test. Those who have ascended and known the nature of the true realities and the good, having returned to the cave, they can see 1,000 times better and know what the images are, the crappy ones, and what they are supposedly images of, the real ones. But because these images man takes as reality and they permeate his thoughts and dreams. Surely realizing this as the way in which mind communicates to each and prepares one for vision is the essence of the noble pursuit of philosophy. Wow. Meaning, mind here, communicates to us homies down here. Here's us, the homies. About these and the relationship with our thoughts and dreams. Dreams illuminating those thoughts that block us. But mind's also communicating those thoughts. You don't pick your thoughts as you don't pick your dreams. So we can free ourselves from that, which prepares us for our own vision. That is the essence of the noble pursuit of philosophy. That's what it means to be Socratic. That's what took 1,000 years, like 1,500 years for us to pick up, or 2,000 years or something, more than that, 2,500. It took us 2,500 years to realize this. Because we had to rediscover thoughts and dreams, midwifery and dream analysis. But we got there, thanks to Pierre Grimes. And Juan Balboa. And all of Pierre's friends that helped him along the way. Pretty neat. In it, I think it's neat. And Jesus says, "Well said, Socrates. Well said." And here comes our haterade. So, here comes our haters to pour a big bucket of haterade on our heads after that fantastic chorus. Now the chorus should also... Oh no, that's fine, that's fine. Chorus comes up and Jesus is thinking. Here is the chorus. Hear his foolishness and laugh out loud. There is no way to understand dreams. Hey, as someone who's been doing dream analysis for many, many years, I've heard this a few times. There's no way to understand dreams. And excellence is nothing special. What? All you have to do is see what is accepted as excellence and compete against it only if you have to. Just ignore all this because reality is what you make of it. Life is what you make of it. There is no reality lying out there to be seen. These guys want to say they have double vision. They see what we see, and in the same seeing, they claim to see a different reality than what we see. Take a look. There is only one reality. And that's what you piece together after your experience, whatever you experience. What could be more laughable than to read gospels that have been thrown out? Trash in, trash out. It's just that simple. This book is a banger. That perfectly encapsulates the kind of reaction people have to this. Alright, what do they say? Hey, life's what you make of it. There's no meaning of life. Just whatever you want it to be. Meaning is something, modern psychologists. People who are charming and have a following. There's no actual meaning to life. It's, what makes life interesting is you can just create your own meaning. There's no reality to be seen. Reality is just positive thinking. If you believe genocide is fine, then it's fine. Who's to say? Now, often we don't go that far, what we do currently. Hey, if you think life's about, whatever, then that's fine. And dreams, and there's nothing in dreams. That's crazy. You're saying there's a whole different reality? Look, I can bang this table with my fist. You saying there's something else? You're crazy. You got double vision. What else do they say? Oh yeah, I haven't talked to a lot of people about the Gnostic Gospels found in Egypt. But I guess probably modern Christians would say, oh, it was thrown out for a reason. Emperor Justinian, who did all that murdering and stuff, he was actually caring about us when he burned those books. I don't know if they say that. Maybe they do. But yeah, these are the haters. But good to get that as well in the book. And what do the anti-haters say? That's them in the red. Why do you have to scream? From where does all this loud boasting come? Are you trying to convince yourself? Oh, snap. You are either right or wrong, that's all. Take the risk. Use your mind. Or rave against it. Fill your life with empty pleasures and ignore the challenge to see if there really is meaning to be realized. There's our meaning. And people who reject it seek empty pleasures, money and fame. And here they're saying, actually use your mind, pal. You got a mind, use it. Go ahead and take the challenge, right? The call to adventure.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
There we go. Take the challenge, says Gandalf. What do you have to lose by the effort? Just one thing. And that's your own cowardice in facing the challenge. Or snap. Or snap.
Keep that little smug.
Snap.
Freaks.
Freaks. So that's what we say to the haters. We say, hey, take the risk, use your mind. By the way, you seem to know everything. Where does that come from? Are you trying to convince me or yourself, pal? It's not about being convinced. It's about what's right or what's wrong. No, there's only one way to test that out. That's to use your mind, which takes a risk. If you don't use your mind, you're going to rave against it to save your own stupid-ass beliefs. And if you rave against your mind, you won't find meaning, and you'll fill your life with empty pleasures that won't go with you beyond this life. Won't make you happier. And if you do that, you will ignore the challenge to see if there really is meaning. If there's meaning, it has to be true. It's not make-em-ups. Take the challenge. What do you have to lose? Just one thing. Cowardice. Take the risk. Use your mind. Play the game. It's fun anyway. We have the coolest chatters. We have the coolest sound drops.
You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now?
We have the stuffiest stuffies. And the potential payoffs are, well, everything. Eternity, immortality, knowledge, wisdom, the ability to help, the paradigm of a truly loving, intimate relationship. To be a friend, be besties with God. And losing everything that caused your problems. Worth it? Or would you rather be a loud jackass, claiming to know things you don't? Trying to convince others because you really want to convince yourself. Those are the options on the table. Thank you, chorus and anti-chorus. Good job. Let's keep going a little bit. Jesus says, yes, that would be good. I admired the skill you displayed in your attack against those fundamental Abrahamic religious ideas, Socrates. And now I wonder if you are equally good at defending your own religious ideas. Can you pick a god from all the gods of the Hellenes that was less irrational than we found in our explanation of the Abrahamic God? Which of the gods, in saving his people, also offered a model for their sacrifice to God? Offer your defense and consider me as if I am the judge who will hear your case and decide if your defense has merit or not. Oh. Oh, snap.
If you don't understand this, you're either being enthused. Can't you just engage with anything in a way that's like meaningful ever? Like, it's just boring, I think, is the problem. I'm just bored of it.
Says Jesus. And whoops, Sock comes in. And I admire your skill, Jesus, in setting out this next part of our exploration. Would you allow, as the first stage of my defense, that I first review a few fundamental ideas that we have been using? Okay, let's define our terms. I ask that because we need to understand how these two ideas, God and sacrifice, are to be understood in my defense before we introduce a Hellenic god. I will agree to that after you first explain why you need such an agreement before we start. How we each understand these two key ideas is so different that it would be best to show that their differences do not exclude them from being contrasted. Now that's a good way to begin. Go on as you will. Right, there's some differences in our terms, but that doesn't mean we can't work around it to contrast how they are different in our systems of thought. First, in the Hellenic world, there is only one theme playing itself out, and that is the will of Zeus expressing itself as providence. The direct knowing of it may be beyond human reach, but the understanding of it is an essential task. Now that's key. That's key. Providence might be beyond that direct experience of knowing. Providence, the divine care, helping us to go through this journey ourselves, so the care that comes down, allowing us to get rid of this and go up, might be something that transcends knowledge which is here. Actually, let's put knowledge on the board. Because we got belief down here. We also have to have ousia and knowledge up here. There we go. Knowledge is there as well. So he's saying, hey, it might be beyond the scope of knowledge. Okay, let's use yellow. So we've got beliefs and pathologos down here as yellow. We also have images. We have knowledge here. And it seems like understanding goes down here for midwifery, goes up here for philosophy, but also might reach providence. So providence might be above this line. The direct knowing of it, says Socrates, come up on the, there we go, may be beyond human reach, but the understanding of it is an essential task. So there's an interesting clue that we have only because we're playing the game and drawing pictures. Organizing the right opinions from the text into understanding. That's the game, folks. Primarily, the principal ideas inherent in the experience of reality are personified as gods. Okie smoky. So, the true realities in here, we were calling the ideas eidos. Beauty, justice, and stuff. They are what are being personified as gods. Let's make a new model over here. So, ontology. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Self, being, and becoming. And in here, are the ideas. Capital A, A-I-D, eidos. And these are what are personified as gods. But it's a mythology. There aren't actually sky daddies in clouds judging you when you do things in the shower. They're these. They're the things that we apply our understanding to. So understanding, dianoia, over here. Understanding is of those. Dialectic. Meaning, these little stories can help us practice our understanding. Or if we do a dialectic on it, we can make a little story and make a kick-ass anime, or share it with our friends, helping us to practice this or to share this, learn and benefit others. The principal ideas inherent in the experience of reality, talked about the afterglow, reflecting on that experience, are personified as gods, the total expression of all of the primary ideas that can account for principles and conditions for the existence of the cosmos, constitute the catalogue of the characteristics of the gods. The total expression of all the primary ideas that account for the principles, account for what are the best people interested in? Principles and conditions or preconditions For the existence of the cosmos, our physical world, the best people out there are attracted to this sort of thing, constitute the catalogue of the characteristics of the gods. Right? Tell your stories about the gods or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and make sure you include in their characteristics and the story all of these primary ideas that are principles and conditions. The threefold condition for a god to be a god. Oi! Ever want to understand what is a god? Here we go. 3 parts needed for a god to be a god. It expresses a mode of existence. Number 1. God's gotta exist, pal. Can't be make-em-ups. Has a power and an activity. If you don't have those, you don't have a god, my friend. Exploring these Hellenic gods in this way brings clarity and levels of meaning. Within their mythology. The movement from mythology to metaphysics shifts attention from metaphor to discovering rational structures. Oh my god. So good. So good. This book's so good. How good is that? Imagine if we learnt gods in this way and not just used it to freak out kids to get them to murder people when they grow up. A movement from mythology to metaphysics. What a sentence. Maybe it's the alliteration too that makes it beautiful, but the movement from mythology to metaphysics shifts attention from metaphor to meaning. Now that's a good bumper sticker. Make that into a fridge magnet. I hope someone's making an Etsy store, making merch for this channel. The movement from mythology to metaphysics makes metaphor meaningful. That's a good one. Okay, shifts attention from metaphor to discovering rational structures. Understanding. Recognizing the inherent structure in physical world, the world of being, and inherent in you. It's all a reflection of self. And matching them with some mode of experience. It's not just making sense of the world intellectually. You get to experience it too. Understanding and knowledge. That's what intelligible means. It's not just intellectual, it's intelligible, meaning knowable. Isn't that neat? Oh, this book's so good. So beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, come back, Sock. The movement from mythology to metaphysics shifts attention from metaphor to discovering rational structures and matching them with some mode of experience. experience. The natural result of this kind of theology is that its parallel metaphysical expression of each of these gods becomes a way of understanding the gods within elements of theology. A rational approach to God. A rational approach to the study of God, or theology. Theology means theos, God, ology, study. So we've got ontology. On this side, we've got in green. Epistemology. Epistemology. So how do you experience the physical world of becoming? Images and beliefs or opinions. Here we have knowledge. Plus understanding. Equals wisdom. Didn't quite fit, did it? There we go. How do we know the self up here? That's the big mystery. And over here we have theology. The personification of the ideas that we understand through dianoia, or the dialectic, which are the aspects of being. So epistemology, ontology, and theology. Wow, those are 3 big words.
Wow.
You are the smartest chatters on Twitch. This book's so good. The movement from mythology to metaphysics shifts attention from metaphor to discovering the rational structures and matching them to some mode of experience. The natural result of this kind of theology is that its parallel metaphysical expression of each of these gods becomes a way of understanding the gods within the elements of theology. So, understanding that is metaphysics. So the understanding of theology understanding of these ideas is metaphysics. Metaphysics, theology, ontology, epistemology. There you go. Philosophy made simple, which is the whole point. Makes it fun. Indeed, the one cannot be personified. Oui. Nor can there be an image of it. Can't have an image of yourself, pal. So what are you gonna doubt? Can't doubt yourself. Because there can't be an image of it. Can't have an image of yourself that you can doubt. Can't be a small bean anymore. You're the biggest bean. It is a vital condition for there being gods, and so it is not a god among gods. Even the earliest philosopher among the Hellenes called it not a god but mind. There are also those like Pythagoras and myself who say it is also called the One or the Good, but its true name is the Oneself. So, while theology applies to being, the condition for gods is not a god. So here we can say, we called it the self, but let's call it the, what color? Yeah. Purple? The one self. Can't be personified, no image. No image. But it's the condition for gods. Where are we going to put this? Oneself. Condition for... Oh, right here. Is the... condition. The condition for theology and metaphysics. But no image. Nor personification. Isn't that interesting? The one self is the condition for theology and metaphysics. Theology and metaphysics is the study of this, which is actually philosophy. That's what metaphysics is. But you can't have that. The one self is the condition for, and not an image, and not theology or metaphysics. So this line that we need to cross. So Aristotle, of course, rejects all of this. So none of this. You can't play anything if you're modern or an Aristotelian in the Roman tradition. If you're a Hellenic, you can play this game. And if you're Socratic, you have that which is beyond theology and metaphysics as our goal, to know thyself. The one self or the good self. Pretty neat. So Pythagoras called it the one, and so did Socrates. But its true name is the one self. And of course, we explore that in the Parmenides. Another great book, translated by one Baba. Okay, Jeebus. How did one of your philosophers express this way of viewing the gods? There are several I could mention, but I think the best is to call upon Salistius or Proclus. Hey, remember Proclus? We tried to pull up the Republic earlier today, and we got Proclus's commentary on the Republic. That's Proclus. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. The name Proclus is known here as a profound one. I'd choose whoever presented a way to understand the Olympian gods. The Olympian gods are a class of gods within the matrix of gods. Hold it for a moment. I would be amiss if I didn't stop you and ask about this matrix of gods. Can you first explain how you are going to manage this exploration? I think it best if I describe the soul's journey. That will present a picture of the causes and conditions necessary for the ascent to the good itself. Wow. Holy crap. The soul's journey. Causes and conditions for the ascent to the good itself. The meaning of life, our purpose, that's our journey. So we could say, oh, what's the meaning of life? Well, do you have a soul? Yeah, I guess so. Well then, what's its journey? What do you mean journey? Like you learn shit, don't you? I guess. And learning involves getting rid of the false beliefs that cause you problems? What do you mean? Well, you, as a kid, you thought cats and dogs get married, right? But you wanted to be a vet. You had to get rid of that false belief and develop understanding. Oh, yeah, I guess I did. Don't you want to do the same thing for your soul? Oh, yeah. Well, what's its journey? To the good itself. The one self. What are the causes for that? And what are the conditions for that to happen? The picture can go from the highest to the lowest or the reverse. Which would you prefer? I think we should go from the lower to the higher, says Jesus. I will sketch out the journey in philosophical terms. And then, by substituting the names of the gods, you will understand the 12 worldly or mundane gods and their hierarchical order. So the journey from the lower to the higher of the soul is the structure of the 12 Olympian gods. Now that is something I would like to see. Surely the goal of life is to exhibit a mode of perfection through being what you truly are. Goal of life, isn't that interesting? Put it in pink. What's the goal of life? What's the meaning? We've talked about the meaning of life a lot, but here's another way of saying it. To exhibit a mode of perfection through being what you truly are. Wow! I agree, since the drive for perfection often begins after an encounter with works of beauty that could only have come into existence through mastery of an art. Those who have had such an encounter are then drawn to seek profound truth. Such is the anagogic path. This is significant. So far we've been talking about seeing a beautiful person. Someone with a beautiful soul or mind. And how that awakens a love within somebody. and it reminds you of your purpose to go through this ascent of the soul. It reminds you of your previous soul's experience with beauty itself, with reality itself, the brilliant light of pure being. And if you're lucky enough to form a relationship with such a person who also loves Logos, you can develop that relationship through the stages of love and beauty and experience, blissful experiences. You get to go and have the experiences too. As the awakening of the love that's married with Logos, love and Logos, that's Philodianoia. The beauty of a beautiful soul can awaken that in you. If approached in the right way, of course. I think it said, there was some, I should approach, maybe that's the word. There's a way of approaching. Here we go. Hey, I found the right word. If the approach to the beloved is as a rash lover, all is lost. The plot of the... Okay, there are two powerful horses. Okay, let's read this whole section. The way the lover should approach true beauty and join her in a sacred union is given through the artful form of the dialogue. The Phaedrus. The idea is simple enough. He presents it in terms that would make it vivid and vital. If the desire for the beloved is joined with the need to preserve and cultivate a meaningful relationship, not just a one-off fling, then the manner of the courtship must be gentle, must be sincere, and include understanding of the beloved. The opposite way ruins it. The difficulty in achieving this goal is that the soul of man combines nobility and fairness with powerful emotional drives that want instant gratification. We're part good, part goon. With the struggle between these two forces, reason is forced to control the one desire. Reason has to control your desire for fairness and nobility, and subdue the other one that wants instant gratification. If it is successful in this struggle, it gains the beloved. If not, it faces failure and shame. The image he presents of this struggle is the charioteer trying to manage the conflicting desires of his two powerful horses. Got a chariot, got two horses. One reason and justice, one wants emotional gratification. And physical gratification. The plot of the drama focuses on the struggle for spiritual enlightenment. Hooray. This always occurs, the struggle, because there is no beloved more beautiful or more real than the experience of true enlightenment. So something in your beloved awakens a memory of this experience and reawakens your soul's desire for union with it. If the approach to the beloved is as a rash lover, all is lost. Go work on yourself and be gentle, sincere, and include an understanding of your beloved. The difference between the struggle of those seeking earthly beauty and those seeking the magnificent divine beauty is as vast as can be imagined. So people motivated by shapes and colors compared to people who love understanding and truth. As Plato puts it, if the human eyes could be brought to see and behold divine beauty, a terrible love would be aroused that would be uncontrollable. You'd go mad. Thus, the way to the divine is the way of a very passionate lover, is the way the very passionate lover. You still have a passionate love for your beloved, but you have to learn to cultivate that passion and love and gain your beloved. Truly, it is a very beautifully told story, and it is as profound as it is true. So, that can awaken the soul of the philosopher and provide the conditions for that development to enlightenment. Here we have a new one. An encounter with works of beauty from a beautiful person, soul, to an encounter with works of beauty. Wow. That could only have come into existence through the mastery. Wow, this is so fucking good. The mastery of an art. Those who have had such an encounter are then drawn to seek profound truth. Wow. Amazing. Such is the anagogic path. I was playing music this evening. And I was wondering about what's the point of this thing, music. And there are a bunch of people around. Good reactions. Some would like come in closer. There were some families that came by and stuck around for a while. There were some kids who would like go up close and then run away and then come up close again. And there was this one kid who was just standing there staring at me. Couple of people came up and was like, and then got shy or something, or didn't know what to do with themselves and ran away. It was really cute, but yeah, I was left wondering, what do I do with that experience? Can I direct them in a positive way? Point them in a direction? I mean, some of the braver people might sit for a while and ask me questions, and I can share some things about music, or people ask me how long I've played for, and I talk about, in philosophy, the quest to know the mind requires you to surface the beliefs that you carry that caused you to drop things that you loved, activities you loved. So it's important to pick up what you left behind. Only now you have this game. Dream analysis, midwifery, and this kind of reading, philosophy. What we have defined as metaphysics. This. That helps. That gets people to think. And they can relate to that. And they often get excited and they talk about picking up their instrument again, or learning an instrument themselves. Sometimes they ask questions. Of course, none of this happens if they are a knower. So I've got to be careful when I approach people who are already musicians, because people who are believers and they don't love understanding, they're not a philosopher, they take their skill as an opportunity to crush others the way they were crushed. So we talk about picking up what you left behind, and that was, stopped by your tribe, your family way of being. But those who haven't done it can use their skill to shut down others. So I have to be very careful around other musicians. They are the biggest jerks I have found in my experience. Not always. But the ones who are the biggest jerks seem to be musicians themselves. People who think they know. People who are struggling with their own issues, and instead of facing their struggles, they project it on others. So a kind of musician who is stuck but wants to be the knower. Anyway, so people who aren't like that, the good people, yeah. I guess they have an encounter with the art and then there are the ones who are more brave, who stick around or even start a conversation, and then you can introduce truth that can direct them to seek that profound truth of the anagogic path. Which would mean that I could work on becoming more... Maybe the people who are shy, I could be the one reaching out. I mean, I do that. I could work on it a little bit more. There was a guy who was skateboarding and he stopped skateboarding a lot near where I was playing. I could have said hello to him, reached out to him. Because I think he was a bit shy. But this is significant for me as a musician. Actually, yeah, last weekend, there were a couple of lads who had harmonicas. And, no, not having a hard day. Reflecting on my music. Oh, you are. I'm sorry. Booked emergency visit. Wow, what's been going on, Golden? No. What's been happening in your world? So, what Socrates is saying is that everything is from the self, emanating into pure being. The study of being is the eidos. You can personify the aspects of your pure being as gods. That's theology. The movement from these personifications or theology into the actual structure of pure being that they personify, that's the movement from theology to metaphysics. But you can only fully participate in that if you realize that your soul came from here to there into the physical world, and you picked a period of history, a species, and a particular family that will necessarily, given the conditions of this, you will get false images, beliefs, and opinions as you were doing your best, doing good, open, curious, seeking understanding. That's not allowed. You can't be someone developing your own self-goals, your self-excellence, your self-reflection, and a believer. Believers have to be in opposition. That's what we've been seeing in the Abrahamic religions. You have to give up understanding and fear understanding. You have to fear being in the mind, and you have to fear the self. That's what it means to be a believer. Abrahamic, religious believer, but also a human being with a pathologos. Therefore, necessarily you'll get this, which seems unjust. But the true excellence of the philosopher is realizing that these aren't true. They're a shadow of truth. They're an imitation of, hey, you can only get these things if you believed your earliest teachers, your parents, were good. If some little kid with a lollipop stuck up his nose said, "You're actually an alien," you wouldn't freak out and have an anxiety attack because you don't think he knows anything. You don't think he's a knower. Our parents, when we were too young to use the logos well and ask questions, pretended to be wise, pretended to be all of these eidos we study in philosophy, pretended to be beautiful, pretended to be just. They were fucking lying. Every single parent. It's not a blame game, it's just what it means to be incarnated into the human species. That's why we have our problems, individually, and when a tyrant like Trump or Netanyahu or Putin or Hitler resembles a common parental image, they get voted in. That's the cause of tyranny. Belief-based function based on images which are a shadow of truth. However, the fact that all this plays out is somehow part of providence, says Socrates just now in the text. If our everyday thoughts we don't pick, but keep alive our problems, there also has to be something to balance that out that also tells us about the root causes and conditions for that problem. So that if these are understood and we answer them in a way we weren't able to when we were stuck in the house, they're gone. They're gone. You've learnt what they were there to teach you, and you've developed a new art in the process. The art of dialectic. Dialectic applied to dreams and applied to the questions about the causes and conditions of our beliefs. That's philosophical midwifery. It's the same dialectic. Therefore, as Socrates has been saying all through this book, the significant thing dropped by everyone since Jesus and everyone since Socrates is the significance of dreams. While your everyday thoughts are very convincing, your dreams will tell you about them and give you the clues needed to surface the cause, surface the puzzle, answer the puzzle, and free yourself so you can then be prepared for fully getting into this art of reading. What are we doing when we read? We're not addressing the false images of justice and beauty and truth. We are learning that the true nature of beauty, justice, and truth are the aspects or qualities of pure being. That's understanding, dianoia. But also, it's a preparation for experiencing it. Not just understanding, you get to experience it. That's knowledge. Understanding and knowledge together is wisdom. You can personify that learning as gods. That's theology. When you move to the principles behind that personification, that's metaphysics. And you know what's really neat? Because you didn't just understand and experience that, you don't just have wisdom. Necessarily, in order to have that wisdom, you had to learn a certain kind of reflection on causes and conditions to free yourself from your pathologos beliefs. meaning you've got that art in your back pocket. So even if you hit enlightenment, which some people like the Taoist thinks is the ultimate, you've learned an art to reflect on the causes and conditions of even the highest experience, meaning you can go beyond this, the highest level for Plato and the highest level for many spiritual traditions, to the actual goal, the self. That's what it means to be Socratic. And as you do that, Golden, Socrates is saying, please go back down into the physical world and meet people who are going through the same stuff you are going through right now. Because you've learnt what it takes to get out of it. You've learnt how it feels to be trapped in that image thinking. You've learnt the significance of doing dream analysis and comparing it to those everyday thoughts. You've learnt what it takes to go through the dialectic to ask questions about the causes and conditions. You've learnt what it takes to answer those people that was too dangerous to answer when you were a kid. Therefore, you've learnt dream analysis and midwifery and experienced it, so you're the best possible person to help others go through that very same process to reach the goal. It sucks when you're in it, but you know what? You're going to get some dreams tonight. Make sure you write them down. Everything I just said is in this paragraph in the book. Let's read it. How do we know if we've reached true excellence, says Jesus? Socrates says, easy. Those who have ascended from the physical world to know the true realities, which is being. Now, being is reality. The realities, plural, is also understanding it. Whoops. And gone on to reach the good. So the cause and condition of even that. And then returned to the cave. Gone back down here to meet where you used to be. You can now see 1,000 times better because you know what the images are that people carry that keep them in those states, that keep them blocked. And you know what they are images of. Because you've gone through addressing your images and you've experienced what they are images of, the truth of reality and knowing. Because these images are what we take as our reality. It feels real when we're in them. Like a dream feels real when we're in them. Those states, those feelings, those thoughts. And they permeate our thoughts and dreams. Realizing this as the way mind communicates to each and for our providential benefit and prepares you for vision of truth of self and reality is the essence of philosophy. And Jesus says, well said, Socrates, well said. That's the game. And today we learnt fancy words for each of these things. The different ways of thinking, images, beliefs, and opinions that are crap, feel crap. That's epistemology. Knowledge is what you have when you experience the truth of reality. Have an understanding of that. You've also got wisdom. Way, good for you, Crash. Now, ontology is those levels of reality, the physical world where you get physical senses and beliefs. The world of being, experienced as the brilliant light of pure being. And of course, that has a cause Something's got to cause that. That's the self. That's ontology. That's a fancy word that means what is, the dimensions. Epistemology is a fancy word that means how you sense, how you think in those realms. Like you hear sound, you see sight. You have beliefs about the physical world. You have knowledge, understanding, and wisdom of the realm of being. And you have mysterious. It's something beyond knowledge. That's the mystery. That's epistemology, fancy word. The aspects of being we study, that's metaphysics. They're the eidos. Mistranslated as forms in modern schools. If you personify them as gods, that's theology. You can't have a metaphysics or theology of the self because it's the cause and conditions for that. So the gods are here, and this is beyond the gods. The reason why we're not told this at school is because Aristotle drew a line here. It's Aristotle, it's modern education, modern philosophy. Plato, thankfully we have the Balboa translation now, and we can actually read Socrates. Plato gets here, and Socrates reaches here. So human development is from Aristotelian to Platonic to Socratic. You've been studying this stuff for years and everything just clicked. Yeah. That's fantastic. So we learnt some fancy words for things. Ontology, epistemology, theology, metaphysics. Here's a plushie. This is my favorite one to squeeze when I do philosophy. You may squeeze her. She is the wisest and prettiest of all of the stuffies. But also, when you wake up from your nap, make sure your voice record app is on your front screen of your phone. So as soon as you wake up, before you do everything else, before you even go to the bathroom, hit record and start talking. Even if you don't review it or transcribe it or do a dialectic on it, it's still worth it to have it in your mind. Maybe listen to it later if you want. Start to develop a relationship with your dreams and the dream maker. Because Socrates says, as someone who has reached here, I can tell you that all of the other philosophers, even the great Plato, had problems, were blocked, because they didn't see the significance of dreams. Nightmares are often a bit of a kick in the bum. Hey, by the way, I've been giving you dreams to help you deal with your problems and you're not paying attention. Here's a nightmare for your ass. You're not going to ignore that, pal. But if you are doing your best to listen to the mind that's communicating to you in dreams and going to all that effort to create these stories, movies, and you're not even recording them, then here's a nightmare for your ass. Solvable though. That's important. Otherwise, why would there be such a profound intelligence that communicates to billions of people 4 or 5 times a night for all of human history? A movie that perfectly encapsulates your problems in your everyday world, gives you clues to solve them, perfectly relevant and necessary for what you need right now. Why would that kind of profound, powerful, all-pervasive intelligence be messing with you? Be sadistic? The only rational understanding is it's helping you. And that help is providence. Why are you sentencing me to nightmares before I sleep? Oh, no. I'm giving you the way out. If you genuinely approach your dreams with a genuine curiosity to understand, and not only understand, but link them, how do your dreams reflect the drama that you play out in your everyday world? How are they the same and how are they different? Then maybe your dream maker will say, well, she's paying attention. All right. No more monsters. Here is a few nice by the way, you might also be having enlightenment experiences in your dreams. If you're not recording them, you're not learning to remember them, you might be missing all these profound states. In other words, mind will work with you if you are aiming for excellence. Don't aim to be normal. Because normal is stuck in this. Normal is ignorance, not mediocrity. Hey, look at that. Thank you, Crash. Thanks for the follow. Dreaming of science, zombies and science labs. Gotcha. Daisy, enlightenment. Yes, but you have the cure to the virus. Zombies ain't watching the stream, baby. You've got the cure. You got the zombie cure. This, what we call the logos, or the art of understanding. And then after Socrates drops this paragraph on our ass, thanks for sharing your thoughts and feelings and your reflections. That's the game.
I'm to share in an adventure.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry. This is the game. Pleasant dreams. Or not. Curious dreams. How about that? So, having returned, you can recognize the connection between your thoughts and dreams and realize mind is using that to communicate you and to prepare you for your vision of self. By the way, once you do see self, what happens? Here we go again. By the way, how do we get those profound experiences? Because Plato describes them, but doesn't offer us the steps. Socrates says, Plato stresses the role of dreams, but says nothing about how to understand dreams. That's our job. Our job on this channel is to create the dialectic of dream analysis. Plato stresses the role of dreams, talks about how much Socrates puts an emphasis on dreams. There's no book on dream analysis yet. But it's the same dialectic that we're doing here. By the way, if you do have a vision of self, in dreams or otherwise, you know what happens? With the self, there goes faith. Not just faith in absurd religious beliefs, but your false pathologos beliefs about yourself that cause your thoughts, your feelings, and your functions that block your development. There goes faith. And there goes doubt. Think you're not good enough? Think you have to be normal? Not anymore. Since self-existence is obvious, and doubt assumes a self that doubts. Dreams are the story. You are maybe you are the writer, the true self. But Socrates is saying, mind is sending you dreams. Capital M. That's the difference. We have to recognize that our individual self-identity, little m mind, is actually the big M mind. And by the way, if you experience the self, either here as self knowing itself as pure mind, or this self, there goes faith, the cause of human problems globally, and there goes doubt, the cause of problems individually. And by the way, people who've had this experience, you've been through it all, interesting, who've had near-death experiences or mushroom experiences, all the different ways you can have this experience, they realize there is an integrity to our cosmos, and the fears that theistic religions pour down on their believers are not experienced in that death experience. And you realize that they have learnt through these experiences that we are all here to learn and benefit one another. In fact, that experience of dropping dead is the essential practice of philosophy. The practice of dying and death. Or to say it another way, what does he say? How does he say it? The essential practice of what it means to be a true philosopher is to separate oneself outside of the body and to gather oneself together as a soul out of the body. The spiritual practice of dying. Or to experience dropping dead before you actually drop dead. That's the arcade for you. That's the arcade. So, that's one way of getting into the game of philosophy, having a problem. Having a problem and really, really wanting to solve it. Having a goal that's really important for you, that it's worth reflecting on your problems, escaping mediocrity because you really want that goal. A meaningful goal. And this is the most meaningful of all the goals, learning how to read this kind of a work. Master it. It's the preparation for direct vision. This kind of reading is the spiritual quest. Not a, it's the. It's the philosophy, not a. It's the purpose. Or meaning of life. Or, it was said really nicely here, to exhibit a mode of perfection through being what you truly are. No settling. No just trying to get by. No mediocrity. Be what you are. That's a mode of perfection or excellence of yourself. And you know what? Self won't settle for anything less. If you do, get ready for some problems. Because the only reason you would settle for not being yourself is a false image or belief about yourself that your dreams will tell you all about. A place within a dream or other dimensions. Interesting. So, it's not just having a problem, but striving for some excellence, not just coping with a problem by sleep pills that get you to ignore your dreams or something, or just settling to be average. So how do we awaken that drive or that seeking for the perfection as a way of being your true self? Well, Socrates talked about love, finding a beautiful soul, and awakening an intense desire for union, connection with that person. And we just read what's involved in that. You have that. You're a charioteer of your soul. You have one horse that seeks physical gratification, the gooning horse, and you have another horse that seeks nobility and justice, fairness. You have to rule this horse with reason and understanding, and use your reason and understanding to silence this horse. Have a genuine desire to create and perfect a relationship with your beloved and to understand him or her. Because that beauty that you see in the soul of that beloved is a reminder of your soul's experience of beauty itself. And if your love and relationship is bound by love of logos, understanding, you can make that journey. That can be the awakening of the soul. But here's another one. Socrates says, I agree, since the drive for perfection often begins with an encounter with works of beauty that could only have come into existence through the mastery of an art. Those who have an encounter are then drawn to seek profound truth. Such is the anagogic path. So, we talked about encountering a beautiful soul, but here we have encountering works of beauty, which happens through a mastery of an art. We've mentioned a couple already. Mentioned music. We've mentioned the art of dream analysis, the art of philosophical midwifery, which goes hand in hand with that, but also the art of our dream maker that can create billions of dreams every night, each one unique, each one perfectly representing the problems we face in our present, giving us clues about its cause in the past, unlocking a new future, and telling us about the future we're fated to tragically play out if we don't reflect and understand. That is a profound level of mastery. And if you can see the beauty in your dreams, well, that might wake you up. Can you reach that same level of profound mastery? Can you function as that same level of intelligence? So, music, dream analysis, philosophical midwifery, and the dream maker herself can create a work of beauty that we can experience, that can wake up the human soul to seeking profound truth. Wow.
Wow.
Okay, I'm back from my break. Normally, I like to keep streams between 2 and 3 hours. I can't stop. The drive for perfection begins after an encounter with works of beauty that have only come into existence through a mastery of an art. Those who have such an encounter are then drawn to seek profound truth. I need to keep reading, because this is the significance of returning to the cave. Everything we've been doing here on this channel, mastering an art of reading, mastering the art of the dialectic, and music as a musician, mastering the art of music. What do we do with that? How can we awaken others to this way of being that's necessary for our species to survive? I gotta keep reading. Whoa, this book is a banger. So let's read a little bit further, because just make sure that I'm not missing a stream that I like. Nope. We're good. Socrates. I agree, since this drive for perfection often begins after an encounter with works of beauty, and that could only have come into an existence through the mastery of an art. Those who have had such an encounter are then drawn to seek profound truth. Such is the anagogic path. Jesus. Before we explore the nature of these gods, I would benefit by first learning what you see behind these terms that you use with such ease. What do you mean by the anagogic realm? Sure thing, it is my pleasure to explore that realm, since it is so much akin to me. First, it is through the attraction and cultivation of harmony and rhythm. That mankind first encounters the power of ousia. Wow. Reminder, ousia. The capacity of mind to turn about upon itself. Pure ousia is completely turning about upon itself. That's why this is knowing, because you know everything that is in being, because you've connected with it. That's pure ousia. Self-reflection, dream analysis, midwifery, philosophy. That's ousia through time. That's the dialectic. And of course, the next three stages of cognitive development or human evolution, but the mass of nonsense, modern democrats, belief-based thinkers, Abrahamics, and fascists. Now, ousia and logos is above the line. Self-reflection and understanding. Understanding, knowing, and the mysterious self. Through music, hey, what? Listen, stay a while, and listen. It is through the attraction and cultivation of harmony and rhythm that mankind first encounters the power of ousia through music. And the experience of beauty. The attraction to beauty and harmony stirs the soul and awakens a love for the beautiful. And this power of ousia turns them about and pervades through their lives. The elevation of the soul is accompanied by a desire to understand and know. A, desire. A, understand. B, know. The source of beauty and truth. And this leads the soul to turn around and inquire philosophically, and it then becomes attracted to the dialectic. Since this is what brings the soul to the good itself. Wow. These three ways of being are called the anagogic triad. What? What three ways? Understanding, knowing, and the good itself? Or harmony, beauty, and dialectic? Interesting. I think both. I think here it's both. Harmony, beauty, and dialectic. as the activities and the cognitive function, understanding, knowing, and the good itself. As harmony is to understanding, so is beauty to knowing. That makes sense. I like that. I like that because harmony is musically through time. Rhythm and harmony happen through time, which is where we also have understanding. Beauty is all at once. You see someone beautiful, it hits you in the face. And the dialectic is what brings the soul to the good itself. Interesting. And I guess we said the true excellence is having reached understanding, let's use a different color, having gained understanding, harmony, and knowledge, beauty, and reaching the good itself. The true excellence of being Socratic is returning to the cave and helping people address their false beliefs and continue that ascent themselves, which is the dialectic. The functioning of understanding, harmony, the functioning of knowledge, beauty. Yeah, I like that. And the functioning of the self, the two together as a triad. Beauty, harmony, dialectic. Yep, I like it. Let's put it on the board. As beauty, oops. Beauty, yeah. Beauty, harmony, which is an order, a beautiful ordering, and dialectic. Whereas beauty is the whole. Okay, how about that? Is to let's have some fun, folks. Is to understanding, knowing, knowledge, is to the good self. Good self. Okay, but we were saying that harmony is an ordering through time. So we could play with that. Harmony is an ordering through time. In time. Beauty is all at once. Or out of time. All at once. So what's that one then? Here's another way of looking at it. I was just thinking. You could say harmony is the ordering of the parts. A different color? No. This one. No, just in that one. This one. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Harmony is the ordering of the parts. Beauty is the whole of the piece of music you keep in your mind, or as your experience. So what would that be? Uh-oh, look at this. Out of time, in time, whole and parts. These are sulfur pairs, remember? These are the very aspects of logos or understanding we use to define in principle what it means to be a believer, what it means to be a everything is relative mass of difference, what it means to be understanding, knowing. The pairs, whole and part, like and unlike. So we had here we go. Here's the set we were using. Believers are in conflict. They are apart in conflict with the whole. So they murder people and stuff, do genocide if you're a believer. Kill for God and country. You are different than everyone else, but you pretend to be the same because you take limits, but you want to be free. You can only be in time, and you are against being experience of eternity. That would be heresy. You can never be at peace or rest. So this is the conflict that defines in principle, not opinion, not belief, not debate, pure, simple, rational understanding of the state of existence of someone in the cognitive function of belief. We have the modern Democrats that have a disconnection. They never talk about principles. All of the modern Democrats are never the same. So there's no whole. There's no principle that we should be governing on. Hey, some Democrats like fairness, some like corruption. Who's to say? Okay? They have none of this. That's why Trump got in. I mean, they're in conflict. They're killing everyone and destroying our world and species, but understanding is the providential connection between the two. Your state of existence is a whole, but you can relate providentially to the parts. Knowledge is both together all at once. The whole of all the parts. And then the final state of self is question mark. But we've seen beauty as a whole, understanding is the parts, or harmony is the parts, knowledge is the whole, understanding is the parts. Harmony is in time, beauty is timeless. Then we could just go through the rest. Harmony is in motion, the rhythm, the motion of the song. Beauty is all at rest. Would that mean? Harmony has a limit. Beauty is unlimited. Harmony is unlike. Beauty is like. What would that mean? I guess when you're telling playing a song, you go through different states of mind. But then likeness is often about states of mind. Oh, we can play with that because we've established a pattern. And this is, by the way, this is the game. Once you've established an analogy or a pattern, you can play out, you can expand it. That's interesting. This is the anagogic triad, which also means that we are unpacking the mysterious state of being of the one self. If understanding is the providential functioning of the logos in the parts, if knowledge is that which is the whole and out of time all at once, And the dialectic uses both together. The good self uses both together. So how can we understand the state of the good self? Is it the whole of the parts? Is it the parts of the whole? Or something that brings them both together in some way? That's tricky. Because beauty is the whole of all of the parts. That's these two together. But there is something greater than these two together. Understanding is these two together in that your state of mind is this and your functioning is this. Knowledge is these two together all at once in an experience of eternity. All of time, all at once. So if we want to unpack the mystery of the book, one of the big mysteries of the book, what's the state of the good self? How do we understand it? In what way are these two used together in the dialectic? In what way are these two together in the good self? In what way are these two together? I don't know. It's a good mystery though. These three ways of being are called the anagogic triad: understanding, knowledge in the self, or harmony, beauty in the dialectic. Jesus, they are already turned around, are they not? Should we not first discuss what is behind this idea of the triadic order? Okay, now we're getting into more of the... Okay. Is there a cause? Is there conditions for a cause? Okay, now we're getting into causes and conditions. Maybe that's for next time. Because we've seen that there are two ways of awakening the soul. We've already talked about beauty of a person or a soul. But here we have the other works of beauty. And the first one is music. The attraction and cultivation of harmony and rhythm. Mankind first experiences the power of ousia through music and the experience of beauty. The attraction to beauty and harmony stirs the soul and awakens a love for the beautiful, and this power of ousia turns them about and pervades through their lives. A love of the beautiful through experience of harmony. The elevation of the soul is accompanied by a desire to understand and know the source of beauty and truth. And this leads the soul to turn around and inquire philosophically, and then becomes attracted to the dialectic. This is what brings the soul to the good itself. Harmony and rhythm gives an experience of the beautiful through a work in time. This awakens a love for the beautiful. And this is the awakening of the power of ousia. That elevates the soul. We've seen that at each stage of development. There's in dream analysis and midwifery, you awaken a new level of ousia or self-reflection. There's a desire to understand and know the source of that beauty. What is the source of the beauty that you experience through music? And the activity of inquiring is your attraction to the dialectic. Oh, I see. So there's harmony and beauty experienced through music, or an understanding and a knowledge, or a parts and a whole. But you want to know what causes... here we go. Yeah, the source of beauty and truth. We've already defined beauty and truth as knowledge. So in the physical world, you experience music. But you want to know the source of beauty and truth. Oh, hang on a second. He's going through stages here, maybe. The attraction and cultivation of harmony and rhythm that mankind first encounters through the power of Usia through music and the experience of beauty. The attraction to beauty and harmony stirs the soul and awakens a love for the beautiful. Okay. So is that the next stage? You go from physical beauty through harmony and rhythm to a love for the beautiful itself. This Usia turns them about and pervades their lives. The elevation of the soul is accompanied by a desire to understand and know the source. So maybe it's stages. Music first, then a desire to experience beauty fully, and then a desire to understand and know the source. That's the good itself. And that can only happen through the dialectic. In other words, in the world of becoming, you can have music. Well, okay, how about this one? And that can awaken a love for beauty itself all at once. And then awaken a desire to know what's the cause of it. From music, and this is the dialectic. The only way that you can reach that top level is the dialectic. So music to beauty. You want to know the beautiful thing behind the beauty of the harmony, and then know what's behind that. I don't know, I'm puzzled beyond puzzlement, but that's okay. That's one of the states we're after. I am stung. So, as I am stung, I hope you are. As Socrates said to Ion, well, if you if I am stung beyond being stung itself, that's the stupid way of saying it. If I am so stung, if I am the most stung, I hope that I have, by nature of me being most stung, also made you stung, Ion. I hope you are also as puzzled can be as a result of our connection right here and right now. As Socrates said that to Ion, so too do I say it to you. That's a good one. Harmony through music, beauty, the dialectic. Well, let's carry that with us in our day and to the next stream. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to the new followers and the new chatters. You can follow on YouTube, you can follow on Twitch. If you join the Discord, you'll get a notification when we go live. If you have gone through that process that Socrates described as being Socratic and true human excellence, being eternal, immortal, and best friend to God, then please join the Discord and share your experiences and your art with us. If you want to donate to the channel, there's a link to buy me a coffee. There's a underneath, and there's a link to the PDF below as well. Thank you so much. Wow, what a banger this book is, and what a puzzling question this reading has given me. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks again. Bye. And music. Ready, go. I said ready. Ready. Why are you? This one gives me trouble. Here we go.